Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome. Today is Thursday. It's October 27th, 2022. My name is Jeremy, and this is my first cup of coffee. I would like to say good morning to Mark and Jenny and whoever else is out there. It feels like a funny morning. Good morning, Dennis. Dennis is making his weekly drive to the office. I feel like that happens more often than weekly. So the first thing I'm going to start out with, there's a little bit of adventure going on the road here. We're not quite sure what's going on yet. So some things in how I operate might be a little bit different. For example, I've got one of the cameras up on a screen over here, and I have my phone here in case one of the neighbors needs to get a hold of me. Good morning, Zed. At about 6 o'clock, maybe a little bit before, I noticed someone walking down the road, which normally wouldn't be a big deal, except I also heard them, and the way they were using what I believe to be their cell phone for a light seemed erratic. I also felt uncomfortable. Now, people walk and run up and down my road all the time, but there was something different about this. Now I kind of shrugged it off and was like, all right, I'm being observant. And then got a Facebook message from one of my neighbors about 10 minutes later, and she's at work. And she said that the kids were uncomfortable, that they thought they heard this person yelling for help. No, I didn't hear that. But bottom line, we're not quite sure what's going on. And I believe the person continued walking down the road. But this is a great real world example of, it's probably fine. And it is probably fine. But I'm not going to just dismiss it. Okay. Yeah. So my phone is here in case there's a message that comes up. I'm watching my front door camera here. And there's other preparation next to me on the couch, which we won't talk about or display because we don't need to do those things. So that's why I'm going to be distracted today. Just be aware of it, and thank you for your understanding. Good morning, Zed. Yeah, Jay says, trust your God, glad you were being mindful. It's one thing that I think as martial artists, we need to do a better job of. We have all this training, and quite often because of the way society handles such things, we dismiss our instincts. I don't think it's a good idea. I would rather be a little more cautious and safe and alive and even have people think strangely of me than for anything bad to happen. Good morning, Brian. Now it is Thursday, which means we have another episode of Martial Arts Radio out. I don't even remember what we're doing today, so let me fire it up. Let me take a look. Today's episode. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, did that one come out today? Is that one out? Oh, if this is out, this is one of the best episodes we have truly ever done. Hold on. All right, I don't see it yet. All right. So episode 757 is a conversation that I had with three others in, let's broadly call them that are professionally employed in movement disciplines. None of them are martial artists. I had a conversation with a personal trainer, a basketball coach, and a dance instructor about movement and teaching and getting people to buy in. And it was a theory that I'd had for a little while. It was undefined. And then Nish, some of you know Nish, said, our son has been working with this basketball coach. You need to have him on the show. So Nish and Andrew and I kind of put all of our thoughts in a pot, mostly the two of them, on what this episode might look like. And what came out was so cool. You could tell that the others on the call were basically taking mental notes from when other people were talking. It was absolute gold. So here are my thoughts. Whether you are a martial arts instructor, school owner, or simply someone who likes thinking of things in a new way, I would strongly encourage you to check out today's episode. There should be a video version of it soon enough. And I'm super proud of it because it was so different. And because it was a different style interview, I had to be different. And I think I did okay. It was probably the first time I ever took notes about other questions I was going to ask while doing the interview, because they were all throwing so much gold at me. I was like, oh, okay. So, and I had to balance these three different people because they weren't from the same thing. I needed to make sure they got roughly equal talk time. It was a challenge. And I'm curious how you all think I did. Andrew just landed in Boston from Oregon. It's great. Brian says, hey, nice shirt. This is the Free Training Day Northeast shirt. Yep. And Dennis seems to be in a good mood. If your friends don't dance, then they're no friends of mine. Life is an adventure. If anybody has other kind of creative ideas for episodes like this, I want to hear them. We don't have to follow the same format all the time. In fact, as time goes on, there are more and more things that we're working on. There's another thing that we're doing that's kind of cool. I mentioned it in the Patreon yesterday. It's not ready. It's not ready to tell you about. Not ready to air yet, but we're trying to do more new, different, cool stuff, because why wouldn't we? And as always, if anybody has suggestions for topics or guests, we want to hear them. You can email me, jeremy@whistlekick.com. Yesterday, I did the books, and they went fine. What else did I do? I went to Costco, and that was fine. And I watched some TV. It wasn't a half day, but I've been trying to balance rest and relaxing this week with getting things done. And things are getting done. We're in this really interesting time where more and more of what I'm doing is actually working with people on the team. And that's where I've always wanted to be. It's where I think I'm best. When you could look at it in one way and say, yeah, not doing any of the work and sort of. My best work is ideas. I actually had a funny call with Craig last night on a personal level. I kept having, actually, it wasn't a personal level. Much of it was work related, but it was all these ideas. I just had all these ideas. I was like, oh, we this and that and this and that and this. He's like, you're right. Okay, let's do those things. So, good morning, Josh. Oh, that's fine. All right. Like I said, distracted. It's okay. So what's today? And of course, what you did yesterday and what you are doing today are things I want to know about. Any highlights? Any training stuff? Today's Thursday. I have a bunch of meetings. I think, do we have a team meeting tonight? I think we do. Meetings, some other meetings, some more meetings, and there's some more meetings in there. And then, yes, tonight we have a team meeting. So those of you that are part of that group, we have a meeting tonight at 8. Dennis had Superfoot Dojo last night. I hope that went well. Jenny says she made a spontaneous decision to go out and play with Lilith. I'm assuming that was yesterday. We spent time on the local walking trail, checked out the foliage, had lunch in the gazebo. Pardon. To avoid a late drizzle, and played on the playground. Got dirty and didn't care. Had a beautiful time. That sounds awesome. Andrew's going to try to stay awake for the team meeting. Yeah, it's a lot of travel. Coming back cross country, and he had a red eye. Red eye flights are ugh. Not my fave. Yeah. Starting today, we'll be doing stuff with the photos from the various for the other 2 free training days, and almost got the stuff dialed in for free training day Northeast. We've got what I believe to be an all but final version of the program, which has the schedule of events and everything else. Jenny says to Dennis, she's gifting herself the monthly subscription for Christmas, the Superfoot Dojo subscription. That's great. I want to get on the other side of dawn testing before I add more fun. That's great. I think you should. I think it's awesome. Getting a chance to work with Bill Wallace is kind of cool. So if anybody else has anything training-wise, today-wise, yesterday-wise, drop it in the chat. Otherwise, Frank gave us some stuff. Where did it go? Here it is. I will share this, and we will talk about it. Shout out and thank you, as always, to Frank for all of his work on the show, and to Josh for our theme song. And during a recent call between Jeremy and I, Frank, I wish it didn't default to that view. I like that view. The idea of simplicity came up. Here are some quotes accordingly. Simplicity is such an underrated virtue. When something seems too simple, people assume it's wrong. When someone desires a simple life, people look down on him or her and label them mediocre or lazy. The word simplicity has so much negativity wrapped around it that people run towards the opposite, extravagant. Ryan Williams. What's wrong with simplicity? There's nothing wrong with simplicity. In fact, there's a word that I use, and some of you have heard me use, that I find very appropriate, that is rooted in simplicity, and that's elegance. To me, elegance is effectiveness within simplicity. Some of you probably know self-defense movements that are elegant. They simply work much of the time, but they're not complicated. We have this general belief that complexity correlates with effectiveness. It doesn't have to. Some of the brightest minds of our time, and I didn't read ahead on what these other quotes are, but maybe we will see one of them. Some of the brightest minds of our time, Einstein comes to mind, have said that unless you can explain something simply, you don't really understand it. This idea that things have to be complex, that a book on a subject has to be hundreds of pages to convey a point, not necessarily true. In fact, I would suggest rarely true. Sure, there are times when it's a textbook and you're trying to really dig into the subject and help people come to a full understanding. But much of what I do professionally for Whistlekick and for clients has to do with expressing things. And I'm constantly looking at how can I simplify it? How can I take this sentiment that's expressed in a paragraph and make it a phrase? Not even a sentence, but a single phrase, 2 or 3 words. I had a meeting several months ago. Those of you might remember the conference in Burlington that I helped put on. We boiled everything down to, and honestly, this is one of the bits of word copy I am most proud of in my career: unlock thought. We boiled everything down to the phrase, Unlock thought. It's very windy out there. Don't be afraid of simple. Don't be afraid of practicing your simple techniques. Those are the ones that you're most likely to use anyway. Then it says, Kiss, keep it simple, Sparky. Sparky, no. That's a Bill Wallace reference. What's that movie? A Force of One. Sparky, no. If you haven't seen A Force of One with Bill Wallace, it's not a great movie, but it's fun, and you might consider watching it, especially if you think Bill's great, as I do. Next. Look at me flipping back and forth with different views. Number 2, until we have begun to go without them, we fail to realize how unnecessary many things are. We've been using them not because we needed them, but because we had them. Seneca. How many of you have felt this way when the power or the internet goes out or your phone dies? And you sit there and you think, okay, I can't do these things. I can't watch TV. I can't play video games, or I can't, text people on my phone. There are plenty of things you can't do. And then you realize, okay, it's really a compulsion that makes me feel like I need them. I don't really need power. I mean, I can do this show without it, but I don't really need electrical power. Plumbing, running water, that's kind of necessary for me. I can go without electricity. I'm not going without flush toilet. No. Kelly says, I always remind my students that the most effective kick is the front kick, just because it was one of the first kicks taught, because it is simple, or now I can say elegant. It shouldn't be forgotten and used more, especially in sparring and self-defense. And she adds on, or how much a simple act like saying hello or smiling can make a big difference in someone's day. In fact, I suspect that if we were to make a big list of simple things versus complex things, we would find more value and more impact from the simple things. Would you rather have a handful of complex techniques? Let's take kicks. Would you rather, let's make a set of 3 kicks, have front kick, round kick, side kick, or jump, spinning, hook kick, and the 2 crescent kicks? Which set of 3 would you prefer? I suspect everyone, unless they're just annoyingly being a contrarian, is going to pick the set of simpler kicks. And we could say the same thing about self-defense, strikes, grappling, etc. Simple and easy are not necessarily the same thing. Simple just means there's less stuff to worry about. A simpler life can be a much more enjoyable life because you're investing far less time and energy into the complexities of that life. As Steven says, a front kick can also make a big difference in someone's day. I like it. Oh, thanks for telling us, Josh. Force of One is free on YouTube. It's not even a bootleg. It's officially free with ads, and he drops the link. And thank you to Josh for watching on Twitch. Jenny says, flushing toilets and warm showers for me. Yeah, those. I lose power enough over the winter that sponge baths don't faze me. I don't want them. They're not a preference. But if I was going to go into the woods without power, I could make it work. There are also ways I could route the plumbing. to capture rainwater and things. And maybe someday I have an off-grid cabin. Maybe our retreat center, when that gets built, will be very simple. And who knows? Depends on which angle we come at. Do we buy land and build it, or do we buy an old, closed-up college? Depends on the money. One is much more expensive than the other. You can probably guess. Good morning, Nathan. Mark's being a joker here. Jump spinning hook kick any day. Dennis says, actually, he's got a quote. There's a lot of beauty in ordinary things. Isn't that kind of the point? Quote from The Office, Pam Beesly. And our last quote. Nope, hold on. If you can't explain it, hey, see? If you can't explain it to a 6-year-old, you don't understand it yourself. Albert Einstein. Told you he said stuff about simplicity. I did not read ahead. I rarely do. Kelly, I'm acknowledging what you're saying. I'm not putting it on screen because I know the show will deteriorate, but we're nearing the end anyway. I guess it would be fine. So here's my challenge to you. Quite often, because of our tendency toward complexity, why is that making noise? Stop making noise. Because of our tendency towards complexity, we take times that are simple and we find the need to fill them. I'd like to remind you that some of the best moments from martial arts radio come from me leaving space for things to happen organically. There's a simplicity in that. One of the things that I've talked to Free Training Day coordinators, I guess we'll collectively call the 4 of you, is the need for space. Empty space is simple, but it is very powerful. In self-defense, quite often we talk about the notion of taking or creating space. It's important. All in weekend, Andrew and I talked about one of the biggest changes we are making for 2023 is leaving a little bit more space. The biggest audible we called at 2022 was, you know what, we're going to create a little bit of space here and unschedule something. Space allows, doesn't force. Complexity forces. Space allows. Simplicity allows. Don't be afraid of it. I think a lot of us look at simple and space and empty, and because things can happen organically, we become concerned, maybe even afraid. Some of us overly schedule our lives in an effort to control the things around us. I'm raising my hand. And I know some of you well enough to know that you also do that. We don't have to be afraid of simplicity. We don't have to fall victim to what media tells us our lives need to be. Just keep that in mind. Kelly says, there's nothing I like better than simply sitting by the water and breathing. Thank you. Dennis says, simplicity allows. In all seriousness, this is the quote of the day. The best ideas I've ever had have come not from me sitting down and scheduling things. Okay, come up with a great idea between 10 and 10:30. Doesn't work that way. But instead, the best ideas I've come up with have happened when I'm not thinking too hard Maybe I'm in the car and my mind wanders, or I'm in the shower and my mind wanders. Or as it was last night, I think I was sitting on the couch and my mind wandered. Some of us are afraid of simplicity, because maybe there are things about ourselves or our lives that we want to mask. I understand that. But the sooner you face them, the sooner you can address them. And the sooner you address them, the sooner you can solve them. Okay. I am going to go. And I hope you have a fantastic day, whether it's simple or complex. I hope you'll check out that episode of Martial Arts Radio and give me your feedback. And if you have other ideas, whether those be a similar show with 3 different people, I really enjoyed doing it. And I hope to do it again. It's not the easiest for scheduling. It is not simple to schedule because you have much more complexity trying to pull 4 people's schedules together. But I think it was worth doing, and I want to thank Andrew for his hard work on it. Stacy, you're not the only one. In fact, I was thinking of multiple people. It's all good. Take care, Andrew. Safe travels. He's on his way home. Remember, if you want to support us, you can join the Patreon for as little as $2 a month. You can make a purchase at whistlekick.com using the code FIRSTCUP15. We still have some sparring gear. Was it yesterday I shipped more out? No, it was the other day I shipped more out. I shipped a book yesterday. If you want the whole list, it's the family page, whistlekick.com/family. If you are family, you should be checking the family page. You guys are fun. Remember, we do this show every weekday, 6:30 a.m. U.S. Eastern Time, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. I'm going to challenge you all, if you do not have Twitch on your phone. I know a lot of you watch the show on your phone. Please put Twitch on your phone. Please make an account. Please watch this show from Twitch. Just for a few weeks. We're not there, and honestly, with the volume that we're getting on Twitch, we're not going to cross that threshold. I want to stop bugging you guys about it. I need, basically, at this point, everybody who's here, this is a smaller group this morning, I pretty much need all of you to start watching on Twitch. If all of you watch on Twitch, I will be able to stop bugging you in probably 3 weeks. So please keep that in mind. Tomorrow's Friday. I'm assuming Frank's going to throw us some great stuff, some fun jokes, so make sure you join tomorrow. Otherwise, I will see you tomorrow. No, regardless, I will see you tomorrow. Take care, everybody. Peace.